Hey, Push the Run Peace, Dr. Dave here. I am in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, getting ready to do a preview of Hopkinton Commons, where the marathon starts. We just drove under the overpass for Interstate 495. Those who are coming from Boston on one of the shuttle buses will be getting off 495 for the Hopkinton exit, and the bus will be turning to the left and coming up straight here, and the area we'll be going to is where the Startline will be. However, I'm going to be showing you where most of the runners will be walking down from the pre-positioned Athletes Village at the high school. I'm one of the ambulatory runners, so I will be actually at the Hopkinton Village Green. We're just coming up the hill here, and then we'll be getting into the little kind of downtown Hopkinton center. There's a couple shops, coffee shop, general store, the police station, I think a donut shop, a couple of gas stations. So if you are on one of the shuttle buses, you will be coming straight up this hill. A lot of times, from what I've heard, some of the bus drivers actually get lost. Don't know whether to turn right or left coming off of 495. So you want to make sure they turn left to come up to Hopkinton Center. This is the fire station. At the traffic lights right in front of me, to the right, is where those of you who will be at the Athletes Village will be walking down here and then coming right up this hill to that section where I just said you'd be coming down from. At the end of that street is the high school, where the majority of runners will be pre-positioned in a lot of huge tents around the high school. We're coming right up to the Village Green here, and I'm going to see where I can park. I should have parked right there on the right. Right in front of me is the Village Green. I'm going to turn around and park right over here on the left. So we right now are at the Hopkinton Commons. Last year, actually 2 years ago, the last time I was here, they were just setting up the VIP tent, which more than likely is the big one in the back. This is where the elite runners warm up. This is where the para-athletes and ambulatory athletes, which I am one of them, will be warming up and pre-positioned. We've got other VIP tents right now. It is about in the mid to upper 40s. It's starting a light drizzle. Supposed to rain heavily later on today. Good thing is, for Marathon Monday, the rain is supposed to go away. Now you see they've got propane tanks outside here. I don't believe they have had those in the past. I've never seen them. They've got a generator, so more than likely they'll be pumping in heat into these tents, which is very, very nice. Again, not one of those amenities that they've had before. I have never seen on a Thursday prior to the marathon this many tents already set up. So it's good that they're getting all of this preset. probably because of the rain. Tomorrow, Friday, is supposed to rain heavily. So that's probably why they had scheduled to set all this up so early. Now we have right over here the first statue that was ever put up, the starter statue. And this is honoring George V. Brown, who stands ready to start the Boston Marathon as he did from 1905 to 1937. And about 5 years ago, I don't know if it was the Boston Athletics Association or who, paid for all of these different statues, which are at different points along the marathon route. This is the first one. There's one of the Hoyts, Mr. Hoyt, who for many, many, many years pushed his son, who I believe had muscular dystrophy or another type of paralyzing muscular disease, pushed him for years in a duo cycle. He was pretty much, I think, the first person in the United States to devise that type of a wheelchair to push a paralyzed individual throughout the entire marathon. Here anyway, at Boston Marathon. And then after that, many, many, many organizations started up to include paralyzed athletes to be able to push them through different races. Previous years, they didn't have this much staging here. They just had the starting area over to my right, straight out from the start line, which we'll walk around. They must have just put this up. The fella who maybe had put it up was just standing there, told me not to go up on it. Here is the original "Welcome to Hopkinton, Boston Marathon. It all starts here" sign. The sign used to be over where the John Brown statue was originally. A couple of years ago, they did a lot of renovation here on the Hopkinton Commons or Green, and had taken the sign down and moved it. 2 years ago when I was here, the sign wasn't here. So it's nice that they have that back. So we'll walk around the staging, show you the start line. My mother had told me she saw on the television, I think last week, or maybe the beginning of this week, today's Thursday, the beginning of this week, when they put the new painting down on this. Yesterday they did the finish line, which actually is not painted anymore. In Boston, it's actually a plastic heated sign that they melt right into the hot top. But here in Hopkinton, they have the start line. I don't know why they have start facing that way, because the runners go downhill. So as we're looking down the course, down the hill, the first 4 miles of the marathon course are downhill, and part of it is what I'll call pretty steep as far as a running course or marathon course goes. Later on in the race, once you get to the Newton Hills, there is one section, very short, maybe 1/8 of a mile, that is very steep, but not as steep as this section that I just showed you. So from looking straight ahead, where the cars are coming from, is where the runners prior to the start will be walking up that embankment that we drove up earlier, and right in front of me will be all of the starting corrals. The best advice I can give, because it's going to be in the mid to upper 40s and possibly with a slight breeze, is to wear an old pair of sweatpants, a sweatshirt, or old jacket, knit hat, and gloves that you can get rid of right here in the corrals after you line up. There'll be a lot of volunteers on both sides of the course, and there will probably be metal fencing up here, but there'll be volunteers both sides of the course with trash bags of different color. I think the dark trash bags are for shoes, and the clear bags are for clothing, or the other way around. So if you wear some throwaway clothes to keep yourself warm, you can get rid of them right here at the starting corrals. Another tidbit of advice is to wear an old pair of running shoes on the bus to the athletes' village, which very well may be a little muddy because of the rain today and tomorrow, possibly some Saturday morning, very, very possibly early on Monday, as in like 4 to 5 a.m., there may be a slight drizzle. So if you wear an old pair of shoes, you're not going to mess up your racing shoes, which you can either have in a bag, or the best thing to do is tie the ends of the shoelaces together, have those around your neck. Don't put them in your bag, because you'll only be able to have one clear plastic bag to bring with you, but you can have whatever else on your body. So you can put around your neck your shoes. If you want to bring a blanket to keep yourself warm during your wait period at the athletes' village, but just keep in mind you're going to be getting rid of that, throwing it away, donating it once you leave the athletes' village. So one of the things also around here is a lot of groups. This looks like possibly a Japanese group, Oriental anyway, that came in for the race. So a lot of groups will come down to the center here in order to see the start, actually from China. Back of one of their coats says China. So a lot of groups come from Boston. There are several companies that will bring runners to Hopkinton in coach buses and then drive the entire marathon course, explaining the course and the hills and race strategy along the whole way. That's something people can look into at the expo possibly, or online. Best thing to do early in order to sign up for that, because they do get booked up pretty quickly. So the drizzle is starting to come down pretty well. It is a little bit of windy, as you can see in front of me, the flag blowing around. I don't have gloves on or a knit hat, so it is a little bit chilly. So you can think in these conditions, without the drizzle, is what it will be Monday morning. So for me, I'm probably going to be, at a minimum, having a compression t-shirt, my singlet on top of that, arm sleeves, gloves, a knit hat. I'll have a running cap tucked into the back of my running shorts. I'll have a belt on with a flask, 12 20-ounce flask inside it, which will have my electrolytes in that. Either on my shorts, the pockets, on my compression shorts, or in my belt, I'll have my Morton gels. Possibly also have some other electrolyte pills, tablets, or salt tablets. So those are all things you want to keep in mind. You can have the best intentions of what you want to do race morning, but come race morning you end up forgetting a lot. So a smart thing to do is write down a list, everything you want to bring with you, everything you want to have. Coming into Hopkinton on the bus, you're probably going to be leaving Boston at the bus staging area on the Boston Public Gardens area. Once you leave there, and that, depending on your race number, can be anywhere from 5:15, 5:30, up to possibly 6 o'clock, 6:30. So whatever you want to drink, whatever you want to eat between that time and the start of your race, you need to bring with you. So you want to bring a bottle of water, you want to bring in a throwaway bottle if you're going to be drinking electrolyte prior to the start. If you're going to be drinking some type of pre-run drink, which I do, have that in the bottle. So I'll have a bottle with my pre-run drink in it. I'll have that a half hour before the start. I'll have a gel before the start. I'll also have a bottle of water that I'll sip on during my bus ride. I know my group, Achilles International, we're leaving our hotel, the Omni Seaport. We're leaving there at 5:30 to meet up with the bus convoy at Hopkinton Commons, and then following the bus convoy into Hopkinton, and then we'll be driving right up the hill here, coming right off, right in front of me. The wheelchair athletes will get off the bus with their chairs, and one of these tents in front of me is where we'll be staging at. They haven't delivered them yet, but eventually they'll have a lot of porta pots here. Down at the high school in the Athletes Village, they'll literally have hundreds, if not a couple thousand porta pots in 2 different areas. Out at the high school, and as you're walking down that street I showed you, and then coming up the hill, on that street at CVS, there'll also be probably 100, 200 porta pots. It'll be your last point. You'll be able to use a porta pot or bathroom facilities before coming up the hill to the corral. Now, with your bib number, depending on what your number is, will dictate what corral you'll be in and what wave you're in. I am in wave 1, corral 6. So if I want, I can move back. I think there's 7 and 8, but I can't move forward. So if you're injured, if you have someone you want to run with, but you're in a earlier corral or wave, you can move back if they're behind you. So keep that in mind. But you cannot move forward. So for me, starting in corral 6, I cannot move up to corral 5. So keep that in mind, just something to think about. So number 1, you want to make sure you bring with you warm clothes to wear prior to the start. Throwaway pair of sweatpants, possibly even socks. You can change into your race socks and shoes right before the start. You'll have your throwaway pants on, jacket, knit hat, gloves, possibly the knit hat and gloves you'll wear for part of the start. You can always ditch them. If you want a soft cap running cap, you can tuck that into your shorts, put that on later during the race, put the knit hat and gloves in the back of your shorts. So again, your sweatpants and jacket or sweatshirt, you can get rid of that right here at the starting corral with the volunteers. So you want to make sure you have that with you. And you also want to have with you on the bus ride anything you want to eat or drink prior to the start. In your bag that you're going to check in Boston prior to getting onto your bus, you want to make sure you have everything you want after you finish the race. So if you want to put on a jacket, if you want to put on sweatpants, if you want to have a protein drink for after the race, if you want to have some type of item to eat, you want to make sure that's in your bag. From what I've been told, at the finish of the Boston Marathon, for whatever reason, it is the ultimate marathon in the world, but at the finish, they have minimal eats and drinks. They'll have water, they'll have Gatorade, they'll have maybe bananas, some crackers, cookies. There's not a big wide variety of things to get. They may even give you a bag already filled with drinks and eats. They'll just give you the bag and you move on. So anything specific that you like to have after a marathon, you want to make sure that is in that clear plastic bag that you're going to check in before boarding your bus. At that bag check-in, there'll be several yellow school buses, and the specific bus that you'll be passing your bag into will have the bib numbers under the windows on the bus. You'll probably give your bag to a volunteer who will then hand that to somebody inside the bus at the specific numbered section that corresponds to your bib number. All right, so those are all the tips you want to keep in mind prior to your race on Monday. I wish the best to everyone for a fantastic race on Monday. Stay warm, hydrate, drink a lot, have your gels, keep your energy high, and just enjoy the entire race experience, because there's nothing like it. So, Dr. Dave for Push the Run Nation here at the Hopkinton Commons or Village Green. Hopefully I'll see you on Monday, race day, Boston Marathon 2024.